Hey everyone, welcome to Coach Doc Ministries. Today's topic, Coach Doc. How I went through my deconstruction, my story, and why I created this channel. Let's go. So let's start from the beginning. I grew up Catholic. I went to Catholic school for 9 years, from K through 8. I was an altar boy, baptized, confirmed, the whole shebang. I was Catholic. And growing up, I wanted to be a priest. As silly as that may seem now, that's what I wanted to do with my life. And when I was a teenager, I had the question of who came first, Adam and Eve or the dinosaurs? And I've had this question since I was a kid and never really could get it explained well enough to make sense to me. And it's the age-old science versus religion debate that I ran into very early in my life. So when I was about 16, I asked our priest, who came first, Adam and Eve or the dinosaurs? And his answer was, don't worry about that. Believe what we tell you to believe. Now, you don't tell a 16-year-old kid to shut up and sit down, because he's not going to do it. So from there, I became an atheist. I said, the heck with this. This church thing is all garbage. This God thing's all garbage. I became, quite militant in my atheism. Richard Dawkins style. I mean, that's the kind of atheist I was. I would poke fun at Christians, and I just was done. I didn't want anything to do with this, religion, with God, with Christianity, any of that. So fast forward about a decade, and I met the woman who would be my wife, and she wouldn't even date a guy unless he was a Christian. And I couldn't understand that at first. I was like, you won't even go out with me if I'm not a Christian. And it was, yes, I'm not going out with you. So I dove into it. Like, okay, who is this Jesus guy? What is the big deal? What is going on here with this guy that she won't even date me, won't even let me take her out unless I was a Christian? So I started to read the Bible again. And I started to read about Jesus in a sense that I didn't have when I was a kid. I didn't see when I was a teenager. And the guy wasn't really that bad. It wasn't this person that I had grown to absolutely hate. It turned out to be, he wasn't a bad guy. He taught pretty decent things. So I would open my eyes a little bit and started to go to church with her. And next thing you know, I was getting baptized and we were married and we were going off our merry way. I was active in the church. I preached. I was in charge of youth ministry for many, many years. Did mission trips. Took kids all over the country, all up and down the East Coast, into the Midwest, doing mission trips. And I was going to be a pastor. There was no doubt in my mind that's what I was going to do. That the calling I had as a kid to be a priest, I was now going to be a pastor. So I started to go to seminary. And I got my master's and was rolling right along, going into my PhD. And I read a book by Richard Elliott Friedman, one of the great Jewish scholars of our day, called Who Wrote the Bible? And it completely shattered everything I had learned as a kid, everything I held true as an adult. I'm in my mid-30s at this point, and who wrote the Bible? Basically, it wasn't Moses, like you had been taught since you were a kid. Moses wrote the first 5 books of the Bible. That's not actually accurate. It's not accurate really whatsoever that one person wrote all of that. And it shook me. And it was, oh my gosh, if this isn't true, what else isn't true? And the more and more I dove into this, the more questions I ended up having. And I wasn't finding any answers. And it completely deconstructed my whole view of Christianity, my whole view of religion. And it rocked me to my core. And I spent 2 or 3 years struggling with What's going on? And I bounce back and forth from, am I an atheist again? Am I agnostic? Is there something out there? Is there not? And the whole time, I know my wife knew something was going on because I just couldn't get it together. I just struggled with my faith and where I was in the world, where God was. And I ended up, after 2 or 3 years of going through that, the funny thing is, I'm in seminary. I'm in a PhD program to be a pastor, and I am not even sure I'm a Christian. I'm not even sure I'm a theist at this point, if I believe in a God at all. And it's just ironic to me that there I am in seminary, and I think I'm an atheist. Where am I going with my life? What am I doing with my life? And as I went through that, I finally had to decide, is there something bigger than me in the universe? And I just could not get away from that. The answer was yes to me. I couldn't step away. I couldn't give it all up. It's like, okay, there's something out there. There's something bigger than me. There's something that's going to provide meaning and purpose for my life. So I knew I was not going to give up on God. Whatever that definition ended up being at the end of the day, I wasn't going to give up on God. And as I'm going through my dissertation for my PhD, and I'm studying First Temple Judaism, studying the rise of monotheism and the early Jewish faith, and I'm knee and neck deep at this point in the Jewish tradition, and learning about it and writing this very large paper for monotheism, and I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the Jewish faith. I fell in love with their tradition and their ritual, and the fact that they have so many holidays throughout the year that bring you back to God, where Christianity really has Christmas and Easter. There's relatively much in between. Judaism had holidays throughout the year, just constantly pointing you back to God. In the Jewish tradition, debate, questions, doubt, that's not frowned upon like it is in Christianity. It's welcome, and it's almost pushed. There's a saying that each generation has to wrestle with Torah in its own time, which means every single generation has to interpret the Bible for its own day, for its own time. Not the way a lot of churches do it. To be honest, a lot of synagogues on the Orthodox side do it as well. They're so hard set and dead set in their ways. But the overall Jewish tradition called to me, and I found my home there, and I converted. I tell people I went into seminary as a Christian and I came out a Jew, which is, I know, not what the seminary wanted to have happen, but that's what happened to me. I am Jewish now. I have been for several years. I very much feel at home in the tradition, and I started this channel because I went through deconstruction. I went through what it means to lose your faith, what it means to struggle, to have all these questions and not have any answers. So I started this channel to help people go through the process themselves. I'm hoping that the videos I make will help people work through it themselves. And I'm hoping that when they get to the other side, that the sermons and the teachings and the things, the other aspects of the channel that I put out there will help them as well to be able to create that walk with God, to not lose that touch of the divine, to not be able to not walk away completely. That's my biggest fear. And that was the main aspect of this I struggled with, was what is my faith going to look like on the other end? Will it have any faith? Will there be anything for me? So I just wanted to talk about this story, talk about me, how I got here, why I went and started this channel, why it's important to me, and I've gone through it. So I know exactly, well, obviously not exactly, everyone's unique, but I have an idea of what anyone who's going through deconstruction is going through. So, I hope my story has been helpful to you. I hope you enjoyed today's video. As always, like and subscribe if you'd like to see more of this type of content. If you have specific topics you'd like to see covered, please leave a comment below and we'll work to address them in upcoming videos. Thank you!